Well, hi friends, Prepared Suburbanite back at you. Took a few days off because there has been an enormous amount of construction going on in our neighborhood. They're putting in a new housing development right out back this way, and they're putting in the roads right now. So there's been a ton of heavy equipment, bulldozers and dump trucks and all kinds of stuff. And you know, when they back up, they beep and all that. So I haven't really been able to get outside and do any kind of videoing or filming or anything. So because the noise has just been deafening. Well, it's Saturday morning right now. And I want to talk about encroachment, so stick around. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, encroachment is to advance beyond the usual or proper limits. And they give an example, the gradually encroaching sea. So I think it's appropriate. There's a football definition, a football penalty for the term encroachment. And in the NFL, encroachment refers to when, before the snap, a defensive player illegally crosses the line of scrimmage and makes contact with the opponent. So encroachment means that you're moving outside your boundaries, and that's just kind of what's going on here. 20 years ago, when my wife and I bought this property, I was still working as a consultant, and I had clients all over the United States. So pretty much every week I had to go to the airport and get on a plane and fly this place or that place, and it was just convenient for us to find a house that was fairly near the airport, but not so close as that we get wiped out by all the landings and takeoffs at the airport. So we found this place, and it really did seem to fit pretty much everything we wanted and needed at the time. I made a list for the realtor, and I said, you know, here's the top 10 or 15 things that I'm looking for in a house, piece of property. Looking for a minimum of an acre. Got to have a 2-car garage. Needs to have a nice kitchen, that kind of stuff. Prefer a semi-wooded lot in a cul-de-sac or on a cul-de-sac that kind of keeps us sheltered from that. And the realtor took us around to a bunch of different places, and either the lot sizes were way too small, the house was too small, the house was too big, you name it. And we just couldn't seem to zero in on the one. And I got a call one afternoon, and she said, I have found the perfect house for you, the perfect property. So we met her here. We took a look at the property, made the appointment so that the homeowners, the sellers, could vacate the premises so we could do a tour around in the house. And they were professional sellers. They really knew what they were doing. We made the appointment to come and do the tour, and she was baking a loaf of bread in one of those bread maker things. And so the house smelled like, you know, this wonderful bakery kind of a thing. So anyway, this house hit, I think, 14 of the 15 items on my wish list. We decided, yeah, this is it. This is the house we want to buy. Signed the paperwork, got it all taken care of, made the offer, closed on it a few weeks later. And if I can describe a little bit about what the property looked like at the time, we are on a cul-de-sac in a developed neighborhood that was built in the late 70s to early 80s, and it's pretty well isolated out here where we are in the cul-de-sac. There's like, you got to take 3 different roads and 2 separate right-hand turns and then a left-hand turn to even find the road that we're on. And then it's a cul-de-sac, so there's only one way in and one way out. I was overjoyed with the sense of privacy that this particular location gave us. Out behind us, I've got one neighbor right out behind here. That's they're really good neighbors, really good people. Have been good friends for quite a number of years. We both moved in about the same time in late 1999, early 2000, in that time frame there, and we have been pretty good friends. All the while, all the way through. They've been there for us, we've been there for them. Our dogs get into it every once in a while, but that's what happens when you have dogs. So the property at the far end of the cul-de-sac, and the cul-de-sac's right out there, so at the far end, just beyond the neighbor's house, that was all densely wooded, vacant property land. And on the opposite side of that was a road that just kind of paralleled the interstate that's out beyond there, and it just kind of connected our corner by the interstate access. It's actually a bypass, but and it connected that to the next streets that run north and south. So pretty simple and straightforward. I didn't feel boxed in. I didn't feel anything that could really say, oh, this is not going to work out. But that was 21 years ago. Now, all these vacant pieces of property that have surrounded our development here have all been sold off and developed. A couple of years ago, we got notified by the Homeowners Association that there was a petition made to take probably a 30 or 40 acre plot that sits right behind us here and turn that into residential housing. And not talking about like residential housing with 1 to 2 acre lots and a nice 2-story house on it. No, this was apartment buildings, tons of them, tons of units going on. And a number of the folks from the Homeowners Association went to a number of the zoning board meetings and expressed their concerns. I talked to our neighbors about it. They said that they would represent the views that they get from everybody, and pretty much everybody that lived in this area that was impacted by this said, no, we don't want it here. We just don't think it's right, because they had to get a rezoning permit kind of a thing that would allow them to build multi-unit apartment buildings in that area, and it abuts right to the back end of the property here. Well, we were unsuccessful. The zoning people thought it would be a good idea to introduce more housing into this quiet little neighborhood, and that got approved, I think, about a year ago. Took a while for all the permits and stuff to get done, and just recently, about 2-3 weeks ago, they started in earnest, cutting down trees, hauling the stumps away, out there with bulldozers and road graders and dump trucks and all kinds of stuff, putting in the roads. I am going to try to run out and grab a little bit of B-roll that we can, you can take a look and see what's really going on right behind our property. Well, one of the reasons that I haven't been doing outdoor videos is, well, it's because it's been deafening. It's Saturday morning right now, and things are pretty quiet because I think they've taken the day off. So the term encroachment kind of comes into play. I don't really have, and nobody really has, anything to say about what happens on the properties that they don't own. Even if you live in a homeowners association type environment, there's not a whole lot that folks can do on decisions that are made on properties that may abut our homeowners association area. It's, I think, less than 120 yards, 125 yards from the property corner on my property to where the new construction is going in. And between here and there, it's wooded, thankfully. The creek bed that runs down behind the house right down here has been full of drainage muck and mud and just kind of this putrid color. Every time it rains, it just kind of fills up with more mud and more mud and more mud. So you can tell that they're out there digging like crazy, putting roads in, doing all kinds of stuff out there. And I use the term encroached the way Merriam-Webster describes it, not necessarily the penalty in the NFL, but I feel like we've been encroached on. The county that we live in here in North Carolina has a distinction of rising property values, and I've benefited from that. I think that my particular property has increased in value by maybe 40% in the last 20 years, which is just amazing. Maybe even 50% now that I think about the last piece of data that I got. So it's doing me good, I think, that the investment in the property here turned out pretty well. The biggest concern that folks had when we filed our objections to the zoning changes that allows them to put in multi-dwelling apartment buildings right behind us was that it was going to reduce our property values, and I think that may happen. I think as time goes by and we all of a sudden get another 300 families moving into these apartment buildings that are going to be built right behind us, it's going to change the dynamics, it's going to change the values. So I do feel like I've been encroached upon here. I don't know if there's anything I can really do about it at my age. I don't want to go through another move. I don't want to sell this place. I really am not prepared to pull up stakes and move again. You know, if I was 35 or 40, yeah, that'd be a whole different story for me. But that's kind of what I'm facing right now is like, do I stick it out for however many short years I got left and just kind of deal with it? And you know, as the house passes from generation to generation, then those folks can make the decision. I don't know, but if it was happening to you out there, what kind of thoughts would you have on doing that? My wife's 70, I'm almost 70, and you know, the thought of getting ready to make a move and moving furniture and procuring a different house someplace else and going through all that trauma, just not appealing to me. But it'd be interesting to hear what other alternatives you folks may be considering. As far as being a prepper goes, I've modified my house substantially so that I can store my preps, that I can deal with the demands that being a prepper puts on us. And if you're talking about making sure you've got access to water, you've got fuel and food storage areas, I've done an awful lot of work over the last few years to make sure that my house can accommodate all the preps that we have been working on as we fulfill our prepping agenda here. So I am not inclined to make a whole bunch of different changes. So I'd be interested, again, to hear what your thoughts are if you feel like you're encroached or being encroached on your property by housing units that just aren't the same kind of housing units that were present in the valuation of your original purchase, like mine. What would you guys be doing about it? Anyway, rambled on enough. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.